Thank you everyone for attending today's training. We are excited in the new year to continue to offer our virtual trainings from Africa Fire Mission. Most of you know me, but I'm Nancy Moore, the Director of Programs for Africa Fire Mission. And I'll actually be your instructor today as well. And we're going to start with some updates about Africa Fire Mission. And then we're really going to focus on you and your mental health today and how to do that in the new year. So I'll talk more about that in a moment. AFM volunteers are generally the instructors providing this training to you. And so we are grateful to our volunteers. Our training is provided free of charge, and it does not include certificates of attendance at this time. The training is recorded, and when possible, the recordings will be available on our YouTube channel, as well as links from our website for any of the training materials. So you'll be able to access those. We'd love for you to, because this is a short training, for you to introduce yourself utilizing the chat feature and introduce who you are, where you're from, and anything else that you'd like to share. You can also use that chat feature as a way to ask questions throughout the training or just even make some comments as we go along. At the end of the training today, our fire safety advocate, Jose, will be hosting a tea time, and you're invited to stay for tea and to network with each other, ask further questions about the training topic or other things pertinent to the fire service. Please, as we go along today, do mute your microphones, but also feel free to unmute yourself to ask questions as we go along. So welcome everyone. I'm going to have Jose get us started with some words of encouragement, and then we'll take the training.
Thank you very much, Nancy. I'm praying that my connection gets to behave well today. However, today we will not really read from our encouragement book, but I would really ask you today to be to forecast your thoughts and your ideas through the year. Like, what do you anticipate as a firefighter to achieve? You know, are you anticipating to help more in the fire service? What will you be of service positively in your firehouse? Yeah, so that was actually what was going through my head today. As Jose, what would I want different in the fire service? What would I want to see? What would I want to advocate in the firehouses? So I would also need you to think on the same lines and even more. What encouragement are you planning to give to your firehouses, number one? And also number two, what activities positively are you going to impact in your firehouse? With this, you will find these small activities that you're going to do in your firehouse, they're going to improve and you're going to impact positively either your brothers and sisters in the firehouse or even the community. Because I'm a community fire evangelist, one of the things I was planning to do is be more active. And also now I want to listen more on what are the community, are they really getting what I'm teaching, or they're just seeing an evangelist out there every time, you know? So I want to listen more to the community and also ask them which lessons would they want to learn, you know? So that's my challenge for this first quarter. So also for you, also try and give yourselves challenges and to better the firehouse. All right. Thank you. I bless you, and God keep you throughout the year. Back to you, Nancy.
Thank you, Jose. Those words of encouragement actually falls right in line with what we'll be discussing today and our topic for today. So I appreciate those words. The topic that I want to focus on today is about firefighter resiliency and how as firefighters, your own mental health is such an important part. Some of you have been part of our trainings where we've talked about stress management, we've talked about firefighter health, we've talked about trauma in some of our trainings. And today I want to focus on resiliency. And we'll talk about what that means and what that looks like. But before we get into our training topic, I want to just take a moment with the new year to just let those of you who may not be as familiar with Africa Fire Mission know a little bit about our mission and what we do. So Africa Fire Mission is a US-based nonprofit organization. And our goal is really to increase the sustainable capacity of fire departments. And what that means is we actually want to work ourselves out of a job. We don't want to be providing support to fire services in Africa for hundreds of years. We want to see fire departments that are able to sustain themselves, advocate for themselves, and really grow their capacity. And it's been amazing to work with many of you and see that happen. We do this through training, empowerment, support, and encouragement. And those are the main ways that we do that. And I'll talk more about some ways you can engage in those 4 areas here in a moment. Our core values at Africa Fire Mission are partnership, community ownership, community development, transformation, sustainability, advocacy, and innovation. And we really want to see not only community development, but we want to see personal development of you, which is why we provide these trainings. These trainings are available to anyone in the fire service. And we make those available because we believe that long-term, the leaders of tomorrow are being trained today, and as well as today's leaders. And so we want to see and pour in to those who are up and coming leaders and those who really want to grow themselves in the fire service. So there's so many opportunities. One of the things that we talked about in our virtual training symposium in the fall was development starts with you and continues at your fire brigade level. And it doesn't have to start at the top leadership. If you're one of those folks in top leadership, I know we have a few chiefs on today, it is with you. And it's with your firefighters on the ground every day. And so leadership comes from both places. So those are some things that we're really focused in on as we develop. So a few of the ways that we're doing this is, as Jose mentioned, community trainings. Many of you are familiar with our community fire prevention curriculum. This is one way that we really see the fire service transforming. And what we've seen is as communities understand who you are and what you do as firefighters, they will stand next to you and beside you instead of attacking you. And we know that that's a problem in many areas. And when you go out in your communities, when you train the community in what to do and who you are as firefighters, we really see the fire service be able to develop. They will advocate for and with you as you come alongside of them. Firefighter skills training. So that's a piece of what we do through our virtual training. We are hoping this year to make that more interactive. I'll talk about that here in a moment. And we utilize volunteers for all of our trainings, be that in African trainers, which we are growing our cadre of volunteer trainers from Africa, or be that through our American or European trainers who come alongside. We have about 70 instructors that help support our work every day, and they are all volunteers. We also are focused on leadership and development and legislative advocacy. And that's not us going and doing that advocacy, but that's us coming alongside of you to help support the areas where you see legislative development needing to happen, where you see leadership needing to come together. And then next, we look at that fire service development and creation. That could be a small volunteer brigade that comes together with some sand and some, maybe a fire extinguisher and some fire blankets, and develops just a small brigade that's going to respond directly in their community. Or that could be a government fire service where we're helping to look at what equipment is really needed. Are you considering the equipment you really need as opposed to only looking at the donations that come into play? Or the fire truck that someone thinks that you need, but you actually need a different fire truck. And so how do we really advocate for, how do you advocate for what you really need and get those needs met? Okay, so then our last part is technology, innovation, and advancement. And this goes alongside with what do you really need? We want to come alongside and work with those who are supplying you with equipment and help advocate with you for, again, what it is that you need. Sometimes the equipment that you want may not be coming into your country in the quality that you need. And so helping you advocate for that, helping you understand the quality that you should expect and that you do need in order to be safe in the fire service. So some of the ways that, oh, there was a question I see now. I can't tell who that is. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
James Kibet, go ahead, sir.
Hello, this is Peter Chira.
Hi, Peter, go ahead.
Yes, I've seen some of the opportunities that African Fire Mission is providing. I attended last year. It was my first time attending the training last year, and I got a 1 certificate. Yep. So on the support and encouragement, we have seen, like here, we have some challenges for even just NGO to penetrate in the fire prevention and protection. As in, sometimes government will think you are interfering, you want to get their role. But how best can you help as an organization to convince individual firefighters or organizations of firefighters helping the community? Because sometimes you can't do it alone. You try to do it alone, people will interfere. People will think as if maybe you want to overtake, or maybe you are interfering in government programs. I think you as African Fire Mission, what law or how can you help such people?
Yeah, well, I think one of the pieces is if we are interfering, we want, as Africa Fire Mission, I can't speak for other NGOs, but as Africa Fire Mission, if it's perceived that we are interfering, we want to know that. We really want that direct information, because if we're interfering with development processes, that is against our mission. We certainly do not want to interfere. And we absolutely know that there are times when we do not know what is best in an African context. We are not experts on Africa. You are. You're experts on what is best in Africa. And so while we want to come alongside and consult and walk beside you, we never want to take over. And I think that's a really important thing as you're advocating maybe to attend trainings or participate in some of the things with us. Our goal is to not take over as Africa Fire Mission. We want to come alongside you. And so even in the training materials that we provide, modify them for you. Use what we have as a base and modify them for you. Even as Jose goes out into the community, he modifies our trainings every day to fit the community. And that's what we want. We want you to take what's relevant for you and implement it, but also know that, you know, things may not be relevant for you. If we're talking about interior firefighting, you may not be doing as much of that as we do. And that's okay, it's different. Your resources are different than we might have in the US. So what is it that you need? And what are the skills that you need? For us, it's a big reason why we do surveys regularly after trainings to learn from you and to know what we need to do best. So I hope that helps answer the question.
Yes, thank you very much for the.
You're welcome. I see some other questions.
Niko online class. Yeah. Asante.
Let's see, John Amare, sorry. Did you have a question? See your hand raised. Okay, I guess not. Any other questions? And for those who are joining us, we're starting with just an overview of some of what Africa Fire Mission does. So any other questions? I'm happy to see. Oh, someone asked, what certification will AFM offer after the training at the end of the year? So for our weekly online virtual trainings, right now, those weekly trainings do not include a certificate of attendance. We will offer throughout the year, and those plans are still in play. We will offer some more like the week-long trainings where we utilized Google Classroom in the fall. We will offer a few of those classes, most likely one at a time throughout this year. And honestly, those of you who are participating in these trainings on a weekly basis will be the first to know about those trainings, just because those announcements will come through. This will be one of the places where you can ask questions or learn about those trainings. So our hope is that eventually we may be able to offer some certificates of attendance for these trainings. The difficulty is that we have many more people register than actually attend, and we need to be able to appropriately give any certificates that would come out. So we're working on a process for that from these trainings. I see someone else might have a question. There was one in the chat as well about opportunities open to alum of Africa Fire Mission trainings. I'll come to that question here in just a moment. Any other questions?
Hello, Nancy.
Yeah,
this is
there's
Peter again.
Hi, Peter. Go ahead.
Yes. On the issue of our certificates, I think just find a way of how best you can you can resolve that. But I think giving out certificate would be one way of making people aware of what are some of the opportunities or things you are doing as an African Fire Mission.
Sure.
Because I remember last time I registered for these 3 courses. I just managed to get 1 certificate. The 2, sometimes they'll find me, I'm at work, and then I fail to attend the class. But the videos, I was checking the videos, listening to the videos, but it was very difficult for me to answer questions and up to the task of the certificate. So, but when we are giving out certificates, and then like me personally, I use it maybe on my CV, people will come to understand and appreciate what you as African Fire Mission you are doing.
Yeah.
So kindly work on that so that at least we can get more certificate from you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. And with these weekly trainings, like it's really, they would be certificates of attendance. They wouldn't be a certificate of achievement on these hour-long weekly trainings. So as I said, we are working on that, but we will have other opportunities for the classes through Google Classroom, and those again will offer certificates of achievement and completion. And we know, I think there were several participants in our virtual academy that tried to complete 6 and 7 and 8 trainings. And they were really intended to be one training that you would complete in the week, as opposed to completing every training. So that was a surprise and a learning experience for us, where we will in the future offer fewer courses at one time. So thank you for that feedback. Mohammed, you had something? Maybe just your comment here, more training and participation. Yeah, great. Okay, so let me talk about some opportunities that are in place for you, for everyone in the fire service across Africa. And I'll expand on what I've listed here. But we do have our weekly online trainings, as I've mentioned. This year, we plan to offer them, again, probably about 50 trainings will be offered weekly on Wednesdays, based on your time zone. So it's 4 p.m. East Africa time. So in Zambia, I believe that's 3 p.m. Not sure if we have anyone from other countries with us today. But so for Kenya, that would be 4 p.m. For Zambia, it will be 3 p.m. And those trainings will be weekly. We are going to have topics that will be kind of a monthly topic, or 6 weeks of topics that will be covered. And so this first month or 5 weeks is going to be focused on firefighter health and wellness. So today we're going to move in shortly to firefighter mental health and focus on resiliency. And next week we'll be looking at safety with personal protective equipment and SCBAs. We'll be looking at firefighter sleep and also cancer awareness this month. So those are topics that are coming. We do our best to, and we're working hard as we schedule instructors to get the information out about who the instructor will be ahead of time. Because we are working with volunteers, sometimes that information is not available until the last minute. And so I apologize for the times when our communication is delayed about who the instructor will be. But I will be able shortly to post what the topics will be. We've just finalized those for the first quarter of this year, so January through March. And I'll be able to post what the topics will be. Our plan this year is to include both, as we did last year, American and African trainers, as well as some European trainers. We do want to continue to do that. And so if you are interested in instructing as a local trainer. We do have a screening that we do for our for any of our instructors, and we will do some screening. If you're interested in instructing, please let Jose know. He coordinates our African instructors, but we really do want to encourage that growth and opportunity as well. So we are hoping this year, in addition, to offer a train the trainer, to talk about training tips, especially as we're in this online world. What are some things that we can do to make the trainings more interactive, etc. We will also be hosting, as I mentioned, some week-long trainings utilizing Google Classroom, as we did in the fall. So I do not have the schedule for those or what some of those will be. Some of them may be repeats from the virtual symposium. So if you didn't have the opportunity to complete a course, you may have the opportunity to do that again. And then we'll offer some new trainings as well. I will be communicating once we know what that schedule will be in the next few weeks. Regarding in-person trainings for 2021, we are still waiting with regard to that because we travel with teams and our employees, or our volunteers, sorry, are largely connected to the fire service here in America. Many of them have restrictions right now on international travel. Even travel within the US, many of them are restricted. So we're waiting to schedule any in-person trainings for 2021 based on those travel restrictions, as well as travel restrictions in your countries and in the US with COVID-19. So we hope to be able to move those things forward soon, but we're waiting at this point to schedule in-person trainings. So Empower, if you do not belong to our online networking group, I know there's some WhatsApp groups as well, please utilize networking. Our networking group is available to you. I'll post the link here in a moment. But we really want to see an increase in utilizing that resource. One of the things that we try to do is to post articles about different topics in the fire service. And this year we'll be focusing on articles that match up with our weekly trainings. So if you've been on the networking group this week, you might have noticed there've been a couple of posts about firefighter mental health and some great resources there. We will continue to post recent relevant information for you on that networking group. But we as Africa Fire Mission don't want to be the only ones posting. We would love to have you asking questions of our instructors, asking questions of each other in that networking group. So please post your questions. I will say that we do delete non-relevant posts. So please keep your posts relevant to the fire service and that community. We will block and delete non-relevant posts. So we do screen that group. So please answer the screening questions as you come into the group. We are looking for primarily firefighters to be part of that group. So it is not just an open group. So I would love for you to join our networking group. Was there a question? I've got some echo there. I think it might have been a question about WhatsApp. Jose, do you want to talk about WhatsApp for a moment?
Yes, madam.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Adam from Mandara.
Welcome.
I'm very happy with the training.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'm very happy with the training.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. Did you have any other questions or just the comment? Okay. Jose, would you like to share a little bit about WhatsApp and what we're doing there?
Yes, please. That was a person from Mandera. It is the topmost part of Kenya, the northern part. So
Yes.
they're having difficulty in communication.
Yeah.
However, back to the WhatsApp. Yeah, the WhatsApp group is an interactive group. It is a group that all firefighters are encouraged to contribute, of course, on fire-related topics that are relevant to us. And I would encourage each one of us to just talk and interact, reach out to fellow firefighters. You see, the best thing about WhatsApp is that it is a direct number to somebody. So if you need to reach to somebody directly, you can always just grab that number and talk to them on fire-related matters, or maybe even if you saw on their post that they were struggling, you can encourage them and talk. That's actually also how I do that. That's how I've been able to have friends across Kenya. I just grab the numbers from the WhatsApp and we have an interaction, and I introduce myself as Jose, and then we start a conversation over there. So I'd also encourage each one of us on WhatsApp just to use that platform for networking. It helps. And personally, it has helped me. So yeah, that would be my take on that.
Thank you, Jose. And there is a very active group in Kenya, and there's also a couple of different groups in Zambia that I've seen. None of those groups are owned by AFM. They aren't specifically AFM groups. They're just networking groups that are available to you. So I just really encourage you to get involved in those. So wanting to make sure we get into some training time, I'm going to move along. But regarding support, please know that all of our training materials are posted online on our website, which is africafiremission.org. Information about these weekly trainings is there, as well as all of our community fire prevention materials. We are in the early stages of developing a mentoring program, and I hope to have more about that soon. But that will likely be in the second half of 2021 where we'll have information about that. But that's something that we've been asked to look at, where we would be matching firefighters with US firefighters or European firefighters for some mentoring and interaction. More on that to come. And so those are some things that are coming in 2021 and things that are available to you now. I'd like to do next is, it apparently closed my PowerPoint. Let's try that. Talk a little bit about how some of that comes into play and in the fire service. So let's see, things that you can do. There we go. Okay. Slide. All right. So when we think about that mental well-being and our concerns and how different things, stress and the things that you see as firefighters and experience even in your own lives impact you, we want to think about resiliency and what we can do about those stressors. So I like to think about this collaborative grid. And if you think of lines, we can fall through a line, right? But if we build a grid, there's fewer spaces to fall through. And if we look right into the center of this grid, there aren't many places to fall through. And this is one of the things that we can do for ourselves, is to build layers of protection in order to protect our mental well-being and to overcome firefighter stress and trauma. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. And I encourage you to think about these things even outside of today's training. And think about the different ways that you can take care of yourself on and off the job. Let somebody know what you're experiencing. If you're having a stressor, let someone know what's going on with you. And tell somebody you trust and allow them to support you. At the fire station, notice if someone else isn't being themselves. Let them know you noticed. Ask them how they're doing and if there's anything you can do for them. I was talking with a friend the other day, and it was obvious just in the tone of her voice that things were not normal, that something was bothering her. Notice those things about each other and respond to that. And then support each other. Even if someone doesn't want specific support, maybe they don't want to talk and you want to talk. Maybe just sit next to them. Maybe just be next to them, or bring them a cup of tea, or find something small just to show them that you are there for them. As a fire service, acknowledged members of the department will, this says may, but I would say will, experience stress, burnout, trauma, secondary trauma. Provide a supportive environment. So make your firehouse a positive place to be. Make that station a positive place to be, where people feel like they can support each other. Talk about what's happening on the job and outside of work. Or if you're a volunteer, those experiences as a volunteer firefighter. Really important to just talk about those things. Figure out ways to come together to meet the needs of your fire service members. One of the things that I particularly love, I think you guys could teach the class on this to our American firefighters, because you come together so well to share your experiences and to help each other. Another resource that can be really helpful, it might be a chaplaincy program. And those could be developed regionally, or even at each fire brigade. AFM has been working in Zambia last year, or in 2019, trained some chaplains. And so there are some chaplains that are fire service specifically trained in Zambia. And I know that there's been some chaplains trained also in Kenya. But chaplaincy programs can be really beneficial. I'll also take this opportunity to mention the Fellowship of Christian Firefighters International. Every week they are hosting a Bible study, and a great support system, a great way to learn and grow together, but also to support each other through study. And that is something that is also available to any of you. And there's not a networking group, but there's a group of those interested in that that's also formed, that I can post the information about here at the end. And then it can also be helpful to identify professionals, counselors and social workers that can assist in more difficult situations. I know recently in Kenya, there was a line of duty death with a firefighter there. And I apologize, I forget all the details, but I know many of you in Kenya are very familiar with that situation. And I was very impressed with the response of the community of that brigade to bring together, to come together as a community and to bring professionals to help process what had happened and to talk about that as well. So those are some things as a fire service that can be done. And then making sure that your needs are met. Are your needs getting met? And looking at all of those needs. So this might be something for you to do after the training today, or even for us to talk about during tea time, is are your social, physical, intellectual, creative, emotional, and spiritual needs being met? Oftentimes we make sure that one of our needs are met or two of our needs are met, but there might be something missing. And this doesn't require that we spend a lot of money. This requires that we pay attention to the needs that we need to have met. Do I have physical needs that I need to have met? Maybe it's making sure that I have something to eat. Yes, that's so important. Maybe it's that I need to eat differently and make different food choices. Am I getting my intellectual needs met? I hope that this training and these weekly trainings are helping to get your intellectual needs met for you to learn and develop. So are you paying attention to all of those spices, each individual need that you need to have met? Many ways to do that, and I'll post this list for you. But as we wrap up today, firefighter mental health, we really view as a systemic approach. Today, we talked about some things with resiliency, which is part of prevention. There's also things with psychological first aid, peer support, critical incident stress management, utilizing professional mental health supports, and also fire department policies and procedures that we need to consider. So we'll post some things about each of these on our networking group in the next week. But I formally want to just wrap up the time today. I'm around. I'm going to stick around for tea time. So any questions that you have, I'm happy to stay for and make sure that we answer. So really appreciate that. I do see Jose posted, and thank you for that. If you have more than one person participating in the training with you, maybe they aren't on the screen with you, but they're present with you and listening, please let us know who else is with you today. So thank you all for your participation, and I hope that you learned some things, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this back to Jose for tea time.